We are front and center.
Oh, hello. Welcome back to the Time on Feet podcast. My name's Alyssa.
I'm George.
And thank you for joining us today, where we're going to talk about why people quit running.
That's right. I'm just going to move the screen back here. You keep talking.
Okay. We actually don't really know completely why people quit because everyone has their own reasons, but we wanted to talk about this today and really explore the topic a little bit because it's an interesting one. And I've known people who have quit over the years.
Mhm.
So we're going to get into that a little bit more. But first, before we do that, Distraction City over here.
Sorry. Yeah.
He's coughing. He's moving.
Yeah. The AV stuff has been top of mind. So I'm just fooling around with the camera because we were out of frame.
Yeah.
It's making me look boxy. I'm really, in real life, I'm thinner. Yes, I think.
You are. You're quite lean.
Camera adds 10 pounds.
And if you are watching on Spotify or perhaps YouTube, you will see that, we have our setup and that kind of thing. And don't let it fool you. We aren't in an actual studio in Hollywood.
Right.
We're in our basement. So
the basement.
There are times that
Studio.
we are looking at our AV stuff and we're kind of looking around and moving around and are distracted. So
it's a fire hazard.
Please excuse all the things. It is probably a fire hazard.
Wouldn't pass code.
Have all this stuff plugged in.
Cables.
But yeah, okay. So before we get into that topic, though, why people do quit running, and really, the reasons why people quit is a lot of times the same reasons why people don't start.
That's true.
So we're going to explore that a little bit more. But first, let's do a bit of a check-in.
Okay.
How have things been going?
Okay. Today or this week, bit of both. For me, it's been we were chatting about, we went on a run earlier tonight. We were talking about how, maybe this wasn't during the run but after, about how we're just so busy. Life's just feeling like a sardine can sort of thing bursting. We didn't use that analogy.
Good one.
I came up with that.
We're like fish.
I don't think sardine cans burst. That's probably the shittiest analogy ever.
That's the worst analogy.
But life feels like there's pressure and like a squeeze on right now. It feels we have. You were telling me what the next 6 to 8 weeks look like, and I was having a panic attack.
We were overwhelmed.
Listening to you tell me what this week looks like, let alone the weeks after. But doing okay. We're doing a last man standing here in a couple days on Lacombe, which it will have completed many weeks prior to this coming out. So getting ready for that, not doing anything extra special or out of the norm for that prep, but otherwise doing well. It's been really wet and rainy and dreary, which has been a bit of put a bit of a damper on things in terms of my my want and motivation to get outside. But I've been pretty consistently running 2 to 3 days a week, sometimes 4, and feeling good. My body's just primed like a well-oiled machine. Like a young gazelle. Yeah, I'm good to run about 30 seconds, then I tire out and get eaten by a lion. It's like, and you're the lion. How are you, my love?
Good. Yeah, I've honestly had the opportunity.
You look great.
Oh, thank you. I actually feel really good. I've had the opportunity to, and this is probably directly correlated to the fact that I've had the opportunity to go to the mountains and to do some. So Saturday and Sunday I did around like 20K and 18K, but I was able to get onto the mountains with a friend on Sunday. And honestly, there's nothing like mountain training. It just feels so good. And I was super encouraged because for the first time, maybe this early in the season, I feel really good. Like we kept talking about not having mountain legs, and I don't really have them quite yet, but even doing the slow jog up the mountain has felt really good. My legs felt really good after. It's been 2 days post. I've ran ever since. Like I haven't taken any time off, and it's felt really good. So I'm doing good as far as that goes, but yeah, super overwhelmed with life stuff. I think it's just the busyness. Everyone's busy, so we're not special in that way, but It can be hard.
We're special in other ways, though.
We're really special in other ways. But I think that like someone was talking to me or asked me yesterday how often I run, and he said, "Do you ever find it hard to fit it in?" And I was like, every single day. Like it is literally hard to fit it in every day,
Yeah.
right? So there's always something competing with
Totally.
that time. And it is the thing about running too. What it is unique is that there's no cheat codes. You know what I mean? Like you're running and you're putting the time on the pavement or on the trails. You're putting the time in. You're putting the time on feet, as some might say, and there's no way around it. Like, you know,
Mhm.
you do, if you like, and it depends if you do kilometers or if you go by time, but if you have an hour run, you have to carve out that hour and do the run. I mean, there's no cheating it, right?
No.
So it's hard to fit it in, but beyond that, I'm doing good, but we got some really busy stuff happening this summer. So yeah.
So let's not dawdle. Let's get through this
because
topic.
we're on a time crunch.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're not tonight. You'll get our undivided attention on a serious topic, but
Yeah.
uh,
Serious topic.
but after that, yeah,
Yeah.
squeeze it on.
Why people quit running? Why do you think that we kind of decided to talk about this one?
Well, because ultimately we don't want you to quit
Yeah.
running, and
Yeah.
I think we asked that question when we were pondering this topic.
Yeah.
Like, okay, why should we talk about that?
Yeah.
And I think the big takeaway for us was that we want people to get into running in some capacity and then do it
Yeah.
for a long time. You had your Woody's marathon wrap up the other night, and you won't name names, but you had mentioned an individual who has been in the run community for a long time and a long-standing board member who is still active into her 70s.
Turning 70, yeah.
Turned 70, and
This
happy
week.
birthday. And that's amazing. Like you hear that, and you hear other stories of people that have longevity in something that brings them joy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you look to emulate.
Yeah.
It's not just about getting out there and making it a fling, joining a club and doing it for a year and quitting, or running hard and doing races and injuring yourself and quitting. You want to find something that makes it sustainable.
Yeah.
Pursuit
Exactly.
for you, right? For the long term. So that was the focus, I think, for the both of us, was that, hey, let's chat about this because we want people to be aware of some of the big things that do lead to dropout or to quitting.
Yeah.
And, some of it is definitely challenging. And that's why we wanted to highlight that, bring some of that awareness to our listeners. Some folks might be, really uppity on that. No. And in doing so, we hope that those are things you can become cognizant of moving forward in your running journey so that you don't let that derail you and that you don't burn out and end up leaving the sport.
Yeah. And even just to explore a topic that really isn't talked about in the running space,
sure.
right? There's so much talk about motivation, discipline, starting, getting going, couch to 5K, like you name it. It's like the going and the doing and the starting, but we don't really talk about why people quit and the reasons why people quit, which are all valid reasons, which we'll get into. Yep. So let's talk about that first. So, one of the big reasons and one of the things that I hear so often why people either quit or lower their mileage or can't do a race is because of injury. Often that's the leading cause, I think, of people not continuing a sport in general, whether it be running or some other recreational sport or even professional sport, right? So, and you've had experience with that.
Yes, I have, unfortunately. You're Superwoman and you've not hurt yourself at all.
Don't even say it. Knock on all the this. This is fake wood. Oh gosh.
That's a fake tree. Oh my God. No, you're right. And like to me, injury is one of those things that can be. It can be a scapegoat, but it can also be very legitimate. Valid, so this one is the one that I kind of waver on. There's a spectrum here. You can injure yourself horrifically and not run again. That's true. That absolutely. Right? Yeah. That happens. And it could be unrelated to sport, to running. It could just be a real fluke, nonsense, bullshit thing that happens in your life. And now you can't do the thing you love to do. And that is a tragedy. And I would preface this discussion with that. if that is something that has happened to you, you get a pass.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sucks. That's horrible. And
we have a lot of empathy.
A ton, yeah, absolutely. And it happens. We've all seen it. Anybody that follows sports has heard of these things, and they happen. They happen at the highest level.
Yeah.
They happen at a recreational level. But then you have the other side of the spectrum, which is where you almost look for discomfort. I wouldn't even go as far as to call it injury, but you look for discomfort as an out. It's maybe a growing, constant, or regular type of occurrence in your life where you're like, well, this is acting up again. I think I'm not going to go. Mm-hmm. And eventually that leads to you walking out of the sport completely, because that injury has compounded over the days, the months, the weeks, the years.
Or even just preemptively, you quit it because Correct. You're like, I don't want to get injured. This is a niggling
maybe
thing.
a mental thing. Yeah. Right. And as you alluded to, often the things that lead us to quit are the things that lead us to or prevent us from starting in the first place. I butchered that, but that's true in that instance as well. It's, well, I've thought about it, but I just can't because I have this
my knees hurts
thing. Yeah. And then there's all that space in the middle. You could have an injury. You could have an acute injury. You could have a fracture. You could have a sprain. You could have something happen there. You could have a chronic illness or condition, arthritis, gout, something like that causes you pain and discomfort on the daily. And those are all legitimate discomforts, injuries, and things that afflict humans. We have them. I mean, everyone, again, but you, has injured themselves, it seems. And what you choose to do with that is ultimately up to you as an individual. But, we hope that it doesn't lead to you quitting. And that spectrum is going to look a little different for everyone. People that have a chronic condition might be a little more cognizant of what they're doing as to not exacerbate that. Or there might be a legitimate fear tied to re-injury. Something that had plagued me after my Achilles rupture was, oh my God, I don't want to do this again. The recovery was really quite terrible.
And how did you rupture your Achilles?
Not running, but playing basketball. And we were talking about this. I'm the living example of this, right? This wasn't high level ball. This was rec league men's basketball. And it was a very innocent play. I was in the boxing out, trying to get a rebound. And I simply turned and pop, my Achilles went. I knew what had happened almost immediately. And the recovery from that took truly over a year, a full year of recovery, physiotherapy, rehab, etc. And then I was still never quite the same, right? My toe off rebound strength on that leg is still compromised. The calf muscle is never fully regrown or reconnected. And there's a deficit on that side of it. That is real. Those are observable, tangible, psychomotor and proprioceptive deficits that I have that I'm aware of. And like the champion I am, I quit playing basketball. I said, well, that's the end of it. And that was 7 years ago. And I haven't stepped foot on a basketball court or jumped with any real effort and purpose since that injury, out of fear that I will re-injure. Yeah. And to parallel that, the left side Achilles hurts all the time, throbs all the time. Even when I run, it hurts. And I know that there's potential for rupture there as well. So there's a real fear, and it did lead to me leaving the sport, which is unfortunate and not something I would say that I'm proud of. I'm not. And I love basketball. I wish I could go back and get after it in some capacity. But I'm weighing the pros and cons. Is the juice worth the squeeze? At what cost? And there is a high incidence of Achilles ruptures in men's league basketball and every court sport for that matter. So I'm definitely weighing the pros and the cons and the payoff there. So for me, injury is real. Injury is something I've experienced at many levels throughout sport in my life, and it's been very impactful in the choices I've made moving forward. So with running, that's why we bring awareness to that, is that there's things you can do to prevent injury. There's I believe in previous episodes we've touched on recovery, we've touched on maybe not proactive things to do, but just being aware that if you want to avoid that there is ways to mitigate injury prior to getting out for a run.
Yeah, but a very legitimate reason why people would quit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because sometimes you quite literally can't run if you have a certain injury, right?
You can do other things. Don't injure yourself.
But that is a good reason why, and a very legitimate rationale behind why people quit. Another topic that we kind of were talking about too, why people do quit or could quit is sometimes you get to a place in life, I think, where there is that lack of joy and enjoyment for the sport, right?
Yeah.
And whether that is, you're overly competitive and you're just not meeting the mark and you're really not getting where you want to be, whether that's, unmet expectations. So the expectations that you've set for yourself or for a race or for a pace, and you're just not meeting those, that can really suck the joy and the enjoyment out of something. And then also comparison and those sorts of things we kind of chatted about, right? And that goes along with kind of those expectations. Sometimes you're really not in a position to get, the coolest gear and to, to run the pace you want to run or to get the shoes. And so sometimes comparing yourself to others, whether that be online or other people in your community, can really take that enjoyment and that joy out of the sport.
Yeah.
And so that was something that we thought that's legitimate. Because if you're doing a sport recreationally, you would assume that you're doing it because you get some sort of joy out of it and enjoyment out of it. So if that's taken away because, pressures are too high or expectations are too high, then why would you continue doing it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a loaded one, and it differs from injury, which is something that is often out of your control, truly. This one is very much in your control in a lot of ways. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's if you're into running because you're looking for something joyful in your life, then the last thing you want is to bring on a bunch of inputs and stimulus that takes the joy away from you. And I think what we've seen is a trend out there where people, it's not just running, but people lose that motivator, not the motivator. They lose the feeling. They lose the joy. They lose the happiness.
The fun.
It becomes a chore. And that, that could be because, maybe you're trying to excel. You're focused on a race and you're putting in more work than you ever have, and you're in the grind and it feels that way. Or maybe it's all the other stuff. Maybe it's the distractions, like you'd spoken to. And that old cliche saying, comparison is the thief of joy, often rings true. And we're seeing, a lot more in the social media space, in the mainstream media space than perhaps we've ever seen in the past. And even when you're out there in the real world interacting with others, it's a bit of a keeping up with the Joneses type thing that is happening with apparel, footwear, clubs, things like that. It can in a sense be a joy thief, right? So speaking from lived experience, we haven't been faced with that. That's not something that I can speak to like I can injury. But I think it's something that we're picking up on, and we're seeing, and we're hearing things, and or people alluding to the fact that I had fun.
Yeah,
I had fun.
Yeah,
and then
I used to run, and I enjoyed it at the time.
Yeah, and then I was, or I was told, I'm not the right candidate for this. This group to hang out with, or exclusions and things like that, and that can be a surefire way for you to feel a little less motivated, right? A little more out of touch with the thing that has brought you joy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that, and I mean, I can even get, I mean, I haven't experienced this in that quitting piece, but I've definitely had lots of friends, and I've had races where I haven't enjoyed myself. We talked in
Yeah.
another podcast about this backyard ultra that I did, and I love running so much, like I really do. But I did this backyard ultra, like, and it was like my fifth like event or whatever in a like fifth like weekend of events in a row or whatever.
Yes.
And I wanted to do it just to support the friend who was putting it on. Not the same backyard ultra we're doing this weekend, but so I did it, and then of course the competitive side of me takes over, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm gonna win. Like I have to win.
Yeah.
But I was so tired. I remember going in. I planned to do 1 or 2 laps. I go in, and of course, lap after lap after lap.
Yeah.
And then you would come to visit me. And to make a long story short, you were like, yeah, you did not look happy. And I wasn't. I was not enjoying myself, and I had no enjoyment, because I was so tired.
Right.
And like in retrospect, I'm like, okay, you dummy. Like, why would you didn't win a medal? It was just a bragging rights
But for
thing.
you, was it your competitive nature?
Yeah.
Or were you feeling some sort of pressure to perform?
Probably both.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's my competitive nature too. Like, I'm like, oh, well, like I could beat the last woman standing. Right.
Right.
And so I think it's that competitive nature and
Sure.
just knowing that I could do it no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But in the same breath, I wasn't enjoying myself. I was overtrained, overtired.
Yeah. And we can add
underfueled.
burnout right into that category,
Totally.
because
Yeah.
burnout's the thing that
Yeah.
leads to people quitting as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And that's one end of a spectrum where you are, the kind of the elite runner
Yeah.
trying to maximize and optimize
Yeah.
your performance.
Yeah.
And that can lead to physical burnout,
Mm-hmm.
which demands a long layoff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it can lead to a complete lack of joy
Yeah.
and desire to continue with said sport.
Yeah.
So be very mindful
Yeah.
when you're out there giving it your all, not to give it your
Yeah.
all constantly.
Well, and I always appreciate when friends, when they're encouraging us and we're about to do a race or something, and
Mhm.
they're like, don't forget, like,
Yeah.
to have fun. And it is like, it sounds so silly, but it is really one of those things where it's like, yes, like I
Mhm.
love being in the mountains. I love running. I have to stop and look around and have fun. Like, it can't just be about the competition, right?
Yeah.
So I think that is something that, when you have competing priorities and you don't get as much enjoyment or joy out of it
Right.
because you feel maybe too much pressure, of course you're going to quit it, right? Because why would you continue doing it? Why would you continue doing anything recreationally if you don't enjoy it? That's just silly.
Yes.
So, so we wanted to bring that up because I think that's a very real, reality for
Mhm.
people and why they would quit. And then we also, of course, the age old, and as we were talking at the beginning in our check-in about life and busyness,
Right.
life stuff, right? Like work, competing priorities, the stress of life, kids, animals, dinner, like, community and social life and family and that kind of thing. I think that's a very really real thing that
Yeah.
we're all dealing with. I think overwhelm is just prevalent day to day. And that is a lot of times. And I've heard these stories time and time again why people quit running.
Yeah. Again, this is not a tutorial on how to quit running. We need to be clear.
Do the opposite of what we're saying.
Hear us out on this and then try not to get trapped into those things that lead to quitting. We talked about this during our check-in, like the pressure of life. It's just so there all the time, especially when you have dependents, right? I mean, we have 2 kids, we have 3 dogs, we have busy full-time jobs, we have commitments outside of work.
We volunteer.
Yeah, we're on boards.
Stuff.
We have a podcast. We have a lot of stuff on the go. Yeah, we still get out and we get a run in and a workout in, and maybe not always at awesome times, but we make an effort. We make it a non-negotiable. And that's, I think, we haven't really been giving you tips on how to stay engaged and how to not quit, but let's give you one now. Make it a non-negotiable. Find that time in your day and get out there and do it. And if it's not for the joy, then it's for the physical benefit. Yeah. And running, as we know, is great for you physically, mentally. Yeah. So make it a non-negotiable. Get out. Life comes at you relentlessly, and sometimes it comes at you hard. And again, just like with the other two segments we've touched on, there is a spectrum.
Yeah.
And of course, life can throw some nasty stuff your way. There can be terrible things that occur. And in those instances, perhaps you need to step away. I would never advocate that you quit running.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably going to bring you more good than cause you harm or bring you bad.
Mm-hmm.
So if you need to step away for a while, go ahead, do that, deal with life and what it's brought to your plate, to your door, and then get back to it eventually. But life is often busy, heavy, and there's almost always an out there.
Yeah. And I think that for all the reasons that you just named, and all the things that, everyone has going on, that would be, if we were to walk away from the sport and say, you know what, life is just too busy, I don't even think anyone would bat an eye. I think they'd say, yeah, like I totally get it. Right. Like that makes sense. Like you guys have so much on the go, and we hear that a lot, and I think everyone does. And so I think that these are really valid, and the last three, segments that we talked about, really valid reasons why people quit running. But I think that what we really wanted to kind of touch on, and we wanted to speak to that because of the fact that, these are areas that would be good reasons to quit. But really, the way we think of it is if you're quitting or thinking about quitting running or a sport that you love, at what cost, so you really have to, on the flip side of that, think about why you do what you do and why you are running in the first place. And for me, while it's not therapy, it's therapeutic. While it calms my mind and it grounds me, and that's priceless, right? And so that helps me to be a better person in all of these busy areas of life, right? And for us, we really want to think of running and want to encourage others to think of running as something that you can do for life.
Yeah. And that would be something I'd ask the viewers to chime in on if they care to, is, how do you get there? How do you make this a lifelong pursuit?
Yeah.
And, it's one of those things where I think we'd see a different answer for every person.
Yeah.
But I think part of it's just finding your why. Again, a thing that we've hammered on before, finding your why, having a reason to keep at it, keep doing it. So for me, it's one of those topics that not a lot of people want to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about ending a thing.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that we felt needed mention.
Yeah.
In hopes that you don't quit this thing that is running, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because I think that too, if you're thinking of it, it's kind of depends on the lens that you're thinking of running through. And we get caught up in this with the competition and the races and the gear and that kind of thing. We can kind of really suck the life out of something we love doing so much. And I think one of the reasons we landed on this topic is, like you said yesterday, I had this board meeting and I'm surrounded by a table full of runners, and we just talked about, the past season and preparing for this local race that we were doing and what next year will look like. And it just totally reminded me of like this is a 70-year-old individual. This is a 50-year-old individual. This is a, and we all love running. We all love this sport. And this is why we're volunteering our time to do it. And there's so many reasons why people could quit, but why do you stay?
Yeah.
And I think exploring with yourself why you're doing it, holding on to that. And then when life gets crazy, when injuries come, when you lack that joy and enjoyment, like remembering why you're doing it to begin with and holding on to that, right?
Absolutely. So great summary. Yeah. and we want to see you, want to see you do this forever.
Yeah.
So with that said, I've been doing it for a year, and I am going to keep going.
He's here forever.
I'm going to keep going.
Are you a commitment phobe?
Me?
You've been doing it for a year.
If the podcast is down to one host next week, well, somebody's quit running.
Yeah.
But our hopes are that you don't. And
really.
So just don't.
Just don't.
Just don't quit.
Just everything that we talked about to the opposite of. Don't quit running.
Listen to David Goggins on repeat.
Yeah. But honestly, what we would like to do, David Goggins is next level. But what we would like to do is to hear from you as far as like, why do you even start? Whether it's what's your why, or whether day to day you just put on your running shoes and you get out there. Why have you started running? What keeps you holding on? And we'd love to hear kind of some of your perspective. So tune in next time. That wraps the pod for tonight. We're gonna go get busy doing. That sounded weird. We're gonna get busy relaxing is what I was going to say. We're going to get, okay, never mind. Anyways, we are out.
Yeah. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.